Hello and welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Good. If folks out there listening, joining us from Book Today on the back catalog listening party, this is our weekly check-in. It's Friday and it's 4 p.m. Central Time. You made it through another week in the time of Corona. Congratulations. It's time to enjoy a little happy hour. We're going to listen to some music, talk with Adam Levy. It's going to be a good time. My name is Mother Banjo.
I'm Anthony Ihrig, and our guest today,
Adam Levy, and we're really excited to talk with him today about an old Honeydogs record and dig into it, listen to some music. Feel free to share comments, ask questions as we go today on the Facebook live stream. And I hope you also got a beverage going or a little snack for your happy hour. I am, cheers, clink.
Clink.
I'm enjoying an Irish coffee, kind of mixing daytime and evening fun.
I'm mocktail right now, a kratom mocktail. We can speak about kratom. I'm sort of I feel like I've inadvertently become a spokesperson for this Indonesian tea.
Nice. What is it? What are the flavors?
It tastes like it's super earthy, super bitter, but it's just a really nice. It's still legal at this point. I know. I'm not sure how long it will be, but it's really kind of a relaxing anti-anxiety thing, and it's nootropic, which means it kind of enhances your cognitive abilities rather than dumbs you down or makes you tired. Like I want to clean my house or write a song or something when I drink it.
Nice.
Cool. Nice.
Well, we're going to have you in peak performance. Well, Adam, it would be great just because our audience so far, we've actually spanned a couple different kind of more kind of folk genres. And for folks that aren't familiar with you and your music, could you just give a little background of yourself and then of the Honeydogs as well?
I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been doing this for a long time. I don't know, 25 years or so. The Honeydogs have been around since 1994. You've kind of gone through a lot of stylistic, changes over the years. And I think people saw us originally as kind of a country rock Americana band. And that's kind of the music that it kind of solidified my songwriting interest when I was in college in the 80s. And I was listening to a lot of Bob Dylan and Graham Parsons and Rolling Stones and all that sort of thing. But I was also a big fan of The Clash and Elvis Costello and kind of the British, what I would call the second British invasion, kind of the punk rock thing. And so I was hoping to put together some of my favorite musical influences from across the Atlantic and from kind of American popular culture. And so that's kind of how the band started. And we toured it a ton and put out a lot of records and, got the brass ring major label deal in the mid 90s when there's a lot of attention to bands like us. The Wallflowers were happening, Wilco and the Jayhawks and so forth. So we sort of, I think we happened at a really good time in that regard. But I always felt a little bit oppressed in the category of alternative country because I just loved all kinds of music, and so we sort of broke with that group of artists stylistically in the late 90s and just kind of started making records that were all over the place stylistically. And I think in some ways we may have lost some of the audience that was looking for something that was more rootsy and American, but I just was restless. I've always been kind of restless. So that's pretty much the Honeydogs. I've also just written music and started a ton of different projects. I kind of see myself as a project-based artist. So if I want to do a kids music record, I will dedicate time and energy to that, or something that's We did something called And the Professors, which was a classic-based rock, pop, chamber music thing. I've been in a number of different cover projects. Sunshine Committee, which used to be called Hookers and Blow. It was American soul, 60s, 70s soul. And then I've just recently been doing the Shabby Road Orchestra, which is a group of guys, real talented group of musicians that are what I would call kind of historical reenactors without costume of old Beatle records.
Nice.
Right.
And then my new project is Turn, 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 which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, very cool. Go ahead. So
I was just going to ask what, like, I've been a fan. I'll just say this. I've been a fan since the St. Paul Central days. Both you and your brother were big influences of me. I'll just get that out of the way. I'll do my little fanboy bit. From the early days, I've been very interested in all the different types of music that you've done. And I hadn't, by the time this album that we're going to talk about today came out, I was kind of in my little bluegrass bubble, I guess. And so this was new for me. It was really fun to listen to. And I'd be curious about just your take on this particular record before we dive into it, kind of where it fits on the spectrum of your different, musical interests.
It felt at the time like I was able to do a lot of different musical styles that I'd always loved. And the record right before it, 10,000 Years, was a record that a lot of people still point to as their favorite thing that I've done, or the best Honeydogs record, or maybe the most significant piece of work that I've made. And I'm proud of it. And when I finished it, I had that feeling like, oh my God, what am I going to do next? It kind of felt like I had maybe made the best thing yet and wasn't sure how to go. And oftentimes, as an artist, you birth a record, and then when you get to the point of being done, you have this kind of postpartum depression, like, what now? And Amygdala for me was me and the band kind of trying to beat what we've done with 10,000 Years. So it's more, in some ways, maybe more musically ambitious, stylistically went to a lot of places that we hadn't before on previous records. There's some real kind of nods to jazz in it. And I'm a big fan of Brazilian music and love what they call the Tropicalia movement of the late 60s in Brazil that combined psychedelia with samba and indigenous musics of South America. I was also just kind of getting into like finger picking and John Fahey and Rick Drake and a lot of these really awesome, some of them British Isles folk players and some of them American folk players, in a way that I just had not paid attention to my guitar playing before. So all these things kind of come together in Amygdala, and the subject matter was sort of conceptual. It's a record about, at the time, a lot of fears that I was having. And I was afraid, I was a young parent at the time, and I was worried about bad things happening to my children. And I was worried about my career, and I was worried about, just sort of apocalyptic possibilities at the time. It was sort of the beginning of the Iraq war. And at that time, it felt like, who knows what's next,
Yeah.
Yeah. This record feels very present to us right now. I think, I know Tony and I both have young kids, and like with everything happening with the virus and worries about jobs and all this stuff, all the themes on this record, I don't know, as I was listening to this album, preparing for our conversation today, I was like, I can't think of a more appropriate record for right now.
Great. Should we get into some listening?
Yeah, let's listen.
Yeah.
It looks like first we have queued up Miss Ketchup and the Arsonist. Why don't we just give it a spin, and then we can chat about it.
Bishop had a theory. No one could answer that query. What would it take to break her heart? Man, come unglued, hearts fall apart. Well, she was searching for a holy love. Into the mud she dropped her glove. It's not the mud that gets glovey. Curse the poor boy that keeps on loving her. She'd seen love's microscopic, melted in your pocket. Forgot to like a bar of chocolate. Monotonous, bored to tears and words. Mouths stuck hungrily together. Puzzle pieces locked forever. Jettisoned up to the stars. Close to God, but no cigar. Arsonist must now confess. Love and beauty in my defense. For 30 days the siege was laid. Children wept and women wailed. Then they put the city to the flame. Forgotten like a bar of chocolate. Boiled to tears and words.
All right.
Nice.
I love the horns on that. That sort of jazzy vibe.
Yeah, that was Matt Darling, Stephen Kung, and the late Brian Gallagher, awesome tenor saxophone player, who played that solo in there, and we double tracked. It sounds sort of like a big band horn ensemble. I can't remember how many times we tracked people, but the three of them, as I recall, we must have tracked each of them a couple times and all of that. And the other thing about that song that I realized as I was listening was I had the other Adam Levy play guitar on it. There's a whole, wormhole we can go down, but there's this other guy named Adam Levy who is a super well-known jazz guitarist, played with Nora Jones, and had his own Guitar Player magazine shtick. And he's just exceptionally great musician, and we've just been confused with each other for years. The long story of how we met, but it's very funny. But I just wanted to say, I asked him, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to get Adam Levy to play guitar on this? And he killed it. He killed this sort of just little guitar fill work in there that I thought was really cool.
Very nice. And if folks out there just tuned into Back Catalog Listening Party on Facebook, we're talking with Adam Levy, the Honeydogs, about the album Amygdala. And that album, I saw some places it said it came out in 2006, other 2007. Do you remember when it came out? Or
I feel like I had 2006 on the record, but for some reason it was delayed and didn't come out until January or February of 2007.
Gotcha. And by the way, I should mention that if folks like what they heard, and I know a lot of folks tuned because there was a few seconds where the music cut out, and of course then everyone got on to comment. So hello, Alan and Vaughn and Joe and all the folks out there listening. Feel free to share your comments or questions as we go. But if you like what you heard, we do have a tip jar for Adam scrolling on the bottom of the screen. So throw some money his way. And because right now musicians aren't gigging. So we want to make sure to support our artists where we can. So is there anything else about that song? I know there was some really great backing vocals happening on that track.
Yeah, that's Amy Mann. That vocal was a really fun day where she came and visited us in the studio in Los Angeles, and I just had her sing on as much as I could for a couple of hours. And so she's singing those sort of Walt Disney-esque 4-part harmonies and things like that. That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
That's great. Nice. How did that relationship come to be?
I'm trying to remember. I think the way the relationship started was her partner, Michael Penn, had heard the record by the Honeydogs, Here's Luck, and had somehow run into John Fields and told him, man, I love that Here's Luck record. I think you produced that. And then John Fields got Michael in touch with me, and we just sort of developed a friendship, similar musical tastes, and I had long respected his music. And then he introduced us to Amy, and they decided they wanted, after hearing some demos from a concept record, 10,000 Years, they decided they wanted to release that on their label. So they did. And I can't remember all of the other artists that they released. I think Richard Thompson put out a record with them, and they did their own work as well on that label. And then Amy took us out on the road, and we did a little bit of touring with her I think sometimes I did solo stuff, and sometimes we did trio. We did a few full band shows with her, but she took us all over the country. So that was fun. We spent a lot of time together.
Very cool. Yeah. Before we went on the air here that I think the first time I ever saw the Honeydogs, you were playing with Amy Mann at the Minnesota Zoo. And and I've been a fan of Amy's for so long. And then I was like, who's this cool band? Because I was new to the Twin Cities. I was like, who's this cool band playing with Amy Mann? And so that was my introduction to the Honeydogs. And very cool. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about the makeup of the band on the record. We talked about some of the special guests. Did the band change it all over the years, or has it stayed pretty consistent?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. The lineup has been fluid, and Amygdala was sort of the last record that Noah played on for a while. And now, of course, Noah's playing with us again, but we went through a period where we just stopped doing the Honeydogs. And in a lot of people's mind, like, the Honeydogs will always be a brothers band, you know? Noah and I started that band, and Noah's imprint was pretty heavy and large on it. But we decided to kind of not play together after that. So there's a number of tracks on Amygdala that Noah's playing, and Noah and Peter Anderson, pictured in the far right there of that photo that you're looking at right now. Peter Anderson kind of came in and started playing with us, and Noah and Peter have very different styles, but the songs where the two of them are playing are pretty amazing. It's a pretty unbeatable team of drummers on them.
Very cool. And something you might not know about Anthony is that he actually started off as a drummer before he was a banjo player.
Oh, really?
So
yeah, I was a pretty big fan of your brothers, and I still have a cassette. I have an older brother, Michael, who I don't know if you're out there watching, Michael, but he actually played in a jazz ensemble with Noah at St. Paul Central.
Oh,
and I studied that tape. It was like a master class in taste and timing. So,
well, your rhythm as a banjo player shows that you know what you're doing rhythmically. That's for sure.
Oh, and want to send a shout out to Wendy out there listening. She asks, "What's on Adam's head?" I know it's a hat of some kind, but
I'm like, if I just think for a second, just imagine that I'm the dude that does the paint guy with St. Bob Ross. I'm not the called
Big bro, yeah.
It's not just the light that makes it look weird. Moving around, so it doesn't look like I got a big afro. I don't know this must be. Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah, Wendy, we made him push it back so we could see his face. We didn't want to, cast a total shadow over his face.
Yeah, that look like an afro now that I look.
I was thinking that, or like one of those like dark ages, Middle Ages weird hats that the priests used to wear.
Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, well, we will take all questions and comments over on the Facebook page. So, nothing is too silly for us to answer. So
I don't want to neck pillow. Look at Joe. Hello. I know Joe from Dallas. Quick mention some of the other people on the record. So Brian Halverson had been playing guitar with us for a few records when we did Amygdala. Peter Sands, that was his debut on the record, and Peter and I have played since then. We've kind of been inseparable in multiple projects. Pete, an awesome keyboard player, and there's a lot of overlap with the previous keyboard player, which was Jeff Victor, who added a lot of stuff to Amygdala. So the combination of Peter Sands and Jeff layering a lot of the keyboard sounds on Amygdala, to me, gives a lot of the texture of that record. And Peter brought to the table kind of a whole new palette of electronic instruments. He's got, if you don't know Peter Sands, he's a great keyboard player with basically kind of a museum of 60s and 70s electronic keyboards.
Cool.
Very cool. Well, we want to make sure we get through a few of the songs of the record. So let's move on to the next one that you picked, Bell Epic. And what can you tell us about this track?
It's funny, like that's one of those songs where I can remember starting to write it. And the opening line is about being in a really cheap motel and about thinking that somebody was next door making meth. And just feeling like, who am I?
How did I get here?
Have I kind of lived the best part of my life while rolling from here? I can swear, can't I, or can I swear?
Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Well, let's take a listen.
Let's do it.
Use at your own risk, double helix, meth lab, motel specters, narcoleptic dreams, corrode you, serotonin owns you, swing low now, sweet hollow, what follows is foul. Oh, there she goes, Bill Epic's left us again. Oh, there she goes, Bill Epic's left us again. Dispatches from a Devonian sea. I don't think you can hear me. Voices from the bottom of the well. Black magic mistress, making white mischief. Foolish rookie moves, running on fumes. Something wicked this way becomes you. Oh, there she goes, Bill Epic's left us again. Oh, there she goes, Bill Epic's left us someday, man. like friendship and sand runs through your hand. They say that they do, but no one really understands. Raspberry chocolate, protocols of the elders of Zion. You stood before me in your naked beauty. I ruined you, you consumed me. Oh, there she goes. Bill Eppert's left us again. Oh, there she goes. Bill Eppert's left us someday, man, and she will lie down in the field together.
I hate to talk because that is such a beautiful long fade out. I just love that. And the guitar playing on that, Adam, is, I can really hear what you were talking about earlier, sort of like the kind of Nick Drake and, you know, John Fahey kind of influence on that finger picking.
It sounds really cool in stereo. I don't know if those of you out in Facebook land are the Facebook mono stream, but that was the production on this record is amazing. Is this John Fields on?
Oh, of course.
Yeah. sounds awesome.
Yeah, John is one of the best musicians and producers I've ever had a chance to work with. He's just he reads people he works with better than anyone, and he's really like, I don't know what the sixth Honeydog or fourth Honeydog, whatever. He's just always a part of the band in so many ways.
So many layers.
Yeah.
John's really good at directing attention. I think that's one thing we've really worked at together is how do you have really dense arrangements where there's a lot going on, but you're able to kind of say, okay, listen to this now, check this out, instead of a whole bunch of cacophonous noise, which sometimes music can become, you know, if you're not weed through it that way. But John's got a real good sense of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Even at the end where there's that, you know, guitar picking at the end, then you hear like a little pedal steel or pedal steel vibe coming in just slightly. And again, there's a lot of nuance to the recording, which I think is really great. If folks just tuned in to the back catalog listening party, we are talking with Adam Levy of the Honeydogs about the album that we think was officially released into the world in 2007, called Amygdala. And some great comments coming in online.
I'm enjoying.
Yeah, it's cool. Dan Kraskowski saying that he, when he moved to town, that he heard you on the Current and then pulled over on the side of the road to see who the band was, and has bought like all the albums since. Connie said that she really loves the cover art, and I'd love to hear a little bit about this, who did it, and what inspired it.
Yeah, the cover art, I'm trying to remember. It seemed that I was looking for somebody to do something that looked like neurological stuff, that had this sort of green plant image to it. And she came up with a bunch of things and ended up with what looks to me kind of like lily pads or something. But the idea was, amygdala is a part of the human brain where, at least at the time, they were thinking, a lot of emotional reaction and processing takes place in the amygdala. And so I just wanted something that sort of tapped into that.
Yeah, I can see that, almost like the synapses.
Yeah, it's very cool. And also want to say that Marlis said that she was listening to the album all week, coincidentally, while she was puzzling. And I thought that was what a cool music to listen to while you're trying to fit out their puzzle pieces. Because I actually feel like this album has a little element of that, like puzzling out what's part of our human brain emotions. I don't know. It feels, I can't explain it anyway.
I think that's the way that when I was asked about this record, that was something that I like to say, which is when I write songs, I like to create puzzle. And by that, I mean, instead of just sort of giving everybody everything in one listen, I want them to be able to unpack it. So in multiple listens, they'll hear different things, and that subject matter sometimes exists on a couple of different planes. So one point you're listening to the song, it's like, oh, that's a relationship song, or, well, actually, that's not just relationships. There might be something else he's talking about politically in the song. So I do like to see the creation of music as something that people can actually work with in their brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like the production, I feel like there's a lot of layers lyrically, and like most good lyrics, there leaves a bit to the imagination, which I really appreciate. So you can kind of fill in those gaps yourself as a listener. I'm just curious if is the lyric writing, the thing that starts these things off for you, or is the music, or both?
A little bit of both. It's funny, when this record came out, I'm just trying to remember, for years I had a songwriting book, like from the record Seen a Ghost, right before that, like maybe 1996 through 2004, I had a song, this book that I put everything in, like every lyrical idea went in there. And so there were these just phrases, page upon page upon page of phrases, but weren't organized in any particular way other than when they occurred to me, write them down. Well, I lost the book on tour with the band. We were flying and I left the book on an airplane. And so we were touring with 89, and the first couple of days of the tour, I was just devastated. Like, all my ideas are gone, and I have to figure out another way to start writing. So Amygdala, to me, marked a big difference in songwriting content and how I was generating it, how I was tracking it. Because I'd lost virtually, pages and pages of song ideas and lyrics. I kind of had to start fresh. And so in some ways, that Amygdala record really captured a period of my life developmentally. And it's the lyrics are super impressionistic. Not a lot of, there's maybe one or two songs that are kind of story based, but a lot of them are vignettes, and sort of, each verse can be about something mildly related, but different.
Yeah. But like there's a theme of a feeling. That's what I'm getting from each tune. Like each song makes me feel a certain way. And I love that about it. Impressionistic is a great adjective for.
And we're getting a lot of comments online about people like Russell saying it's a perfect record. And you've done so many records, Adam, over the years. I know it must be weird to I don't know if you do go back and listen to your own records. I mean, a lot of us, after we've done a record, we kind of forget about it and move on to the next thing. What made you pick this record? Is this one that you actually go back to and listen, or is it just that you have really fond memories of it? Or
it was actually a pretty dark period of my life. What I was writing about, what I was experiencing. And so in that regard, it's not a place I like to go back in my head. What's interesting to me, though, is that my daughters, who listen to just tons of music, this is one of those records that has really resonated with them, and they're in their early now. And so they listen to it a lot. And it kind of got me thinking, like, I don't know, maybe there's something cool in there. I mean, I'm proud of it as a piece of work, but it's not one that I really listen to very much going back. And actually, I don't really like listening to my music a lot. I'd like to create something that I think I would listen to. I make records that are the way that I like to hear music, but I'm not a big fan of listening to my own music.
That makes sense. Well, we're going to make you listen to more right now on Back Catalog Listening Party. We have a serum up next, and maybe let's just take a dive into it, and then we'll talk about it after.
And if I disappear, is that okay?
As long as you come back.
All right, here we go.
So many layers to that. If it's like you hear one, I kept writing down like, oh, that's cool. Is that like a mandolin or a guitar, doing that high chunky thing? But then I'd be like, oh, wait, then there's some piano. And now there's strings. It's just talk about the subtle layerings of things. It's
and
really
the groove on that one. Was that Noah on that one?
That's Noah and Peter, the two of them.
That is the groove right there. I was turning it up, and then I realized I was probably turning it up for everybody, folks. But that was sounding really, really good.
Yeah, that was a fun one. It's got that 12-string guitar was meant to sound like God, I'm trying to think of the Bahian Brazilian stringed instrument that's an 8-string guitarrón or something like that. But they're often they sound really high up, almost mandolin-like.
Yeah.
So there's that. One of my favorite parts of the whole song is at the very, very ending. You hear Steve from the Newsstand. What's Steve's last name, for crying out loud?
Rome?
Yes, Steve Rome doing that like giant steps figure at the very end on vibraphone. And of course, Brian Gallagher sax solo is just amazing.
Yeah.
Andra Suki is singing vocals on there. Somebody who did like a double octave, Joanna Jane, sang that for high, like almost Star Trek high octave vocals. Yeah, that's a fun one. I do like listening to that. That was a song about my son. I wrote that when during the Iraq War, my son told me, he was 16. He's like, I'm gonna go fight in Iraq. I'm gonna join the Marine. And I couldn't do anything about it. It was one of those things that's hard for me to celebrate it. And was so proud of my son. I loved him so much. I just had to kind of swallow. I knew if I fought it, I wasn't going to win. So that was definitely a song about the fear of losing your child, which unfortunately in my case came true.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so interesting about that song and the whole record is it feels like there's a lot of tension between like these beautiful melodies and catchy grooves with these, really sad lyrics.
Yeah. I think around the time of 10,000 Years, or maybe it was the record before Here's Luck, I was reading and thinking about a lot of heavier things and was trying to figure out what are ways to be able to unpack questions that I have, ask questions, think about things about war and genocide and mental health issues in a way that isn't going to alienate people or make them feel like I'm just kind of heaping depressing stuff on top of them. And I love beautiful chord changes and melodies. And so I think that was kind of the way that I snuck a lot of those subject matters in there, was just trying to like create a musical hook that somebody can like, and yet try to get them to think about something that maybe is not a conventional thing in a pop song.
I think that's honestly one of the things that music can do that no other form of communication can do, which is literally hit you in two different places and two different messages. And I feel like that amplifies each feeling. Mm-hmm. And we talk about this, Ellen and I come from the folk music world where, the songs are, but like the subject matter is just dark, horrible, right? Yeah. Everybody's down. But there's something about that kind of juxtaposition that actually amplifies both feelings, and you can feel both of those things at the same time. And you can feel it.
Yeah,
record
for sure. If you just tuned in to the Back Catalog Listening Party, we're talking today with Adam Levy from the Honeydogs about the album Amygdala, and which spans many genres. And that's what we want to do here on Back Catalog Listening Party. We want to listen to music, dive deep into some of these records, talk with artists about the songs. If you have questions or comments, feel free to throw them there as people have been doing. And also, if you have suggestions for records or artists you want us to dive into, we'd love to hear from you about that. All genres welcome. If you like what you hear, throw something in the tip jar for Adam, and it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen. And I think we have Heads or Tails next, right?
Yeah.
All right. Should we just give it a listen and then we can chat?
Sounds good.
All right. This is Heads or Tails.
Where
I have to say these fade outs are so beautiful on this record, Adam. And actually, if you listen to the record in its entirety from track to track, it has a flow to it. It's just really beautiful.
Thank you.
Did you spend a lot of time thinking about that? The order of the songs?
Yeah, I mean, I think sequencing is always a big deal. I mean, you made a number of records. It's sort of like, what order do I want the world to hear this thing in, and what kind of story am I trying to tell, and all of that. The sequencing is very important. I also, I do feel like a song, when you record a song, could be somewhat of like you're taking someone on a journey. And they might not listen to the entire record. You hope they do. And they might just listen to that song. But to me, every song should go somewhere. Should take someone by the hand and kind of take them on a little trip, like your house. Each song is like a house. You're taking them to different points. And, sometimes a room could be somewhat jarring, or it could be kind of like a surprise. Other times it's just like, it just makes them feel, bathed in warm milk or something like that. But I feel like to the very end, like your responsibility is keeping people engaged and keeping things interesting. And like that song at the very end of that fade, you've got that sort of like slightly Gustav Mahler violin thing happening when the rest of it was really kind of haunting, like almost like a horror movie soundtrack or something like that. But yeah, like fades to me are a really great place to do cool stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool. I do want to say hello to Natasha and Lindell out there listening, but also Jeffrey had a question. He said, what do you see music's role in our mental health coming out of this pandemic? Do you have anything cooking in that regard? Are you writing right now, or what do you think about all of this?
Yeah. It's kind of on and off. I've had moments of great inspiration and other moments where I just don't want to do anything except walk around in my slippers with a cup of coffee in my hand and just soak up the uncertainty and hope for something else. But yeah, I mean, I've certainly got a lot of stuff I'm writing about. And the question, speaking to whether music and mental health have some kind of relationship. And I would say absolutely. I've always thought that even before I explicitly addressed it on the nominally solo record that I did, it was really about my son's struggles and some of my own as well. I feel like music is therapy. As a songwriter, you're wrestling with issues, trying to resolve really big questions about who you are and what your place in the world is, and why do you feel the way you do about certain things, and are your feelings legitimate, or is your anger or hurt not doesn't really have any sort of real basis, or what I mean? It's like everything is grist for the mill, all of those internal struggles. And there are things that I've written that I've said, oh, I shouldn't have shared that. That is so personal. On the other hand, I feel like people really like music that lays things out there in a way that asks questions that we all ask of ourselves.
For sure. And actually, it's funny. We just had a comment from Connie saying, just realized I hadn't thought about viruses for almost an hour. Thanks.
Whoa.
Well, it's true. I think that's what we're going for with this weekly back catalog listening party, is to just dive into the music. Because as Anthony said earlier, it's what we have right now, is music and community. And even if we have to do it virtually for now, it's a great way of connecting, not just to our immediate Twin Cities neighbors as we're doing, but also our friends and family and fans listening all over the world right now. So thank you guys for joining us today. We've been talking with Adam Levy of the Honeydogs about his album Amygdala. And Adam, you also have, I know you said you love projects and you're working on different things, and you have a new project that you've been working on where you guys are going to release a video coming up at the end of the month and an album in June.
Yeah, it's a collaborative effort with Barb Grinstead and Savannah Smith. And it started as a trio project that was kind of doing our favorite cover music, but then it turned into an originals project. And we started making a record about a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago, and finished it recently. And we're putting it out there and looking forward to doing shows. I love singing with the two of them, and the ability to create what I think are just really beautiful, beautiful songs that I guess it's always been a bit more of a struggle with a lot of the bands I have, getting other people to sing with me. It's been really refreshing. And I've played with a lot of great singers, but this has just been so effortless and fun. And the songs that they have written and brought to the table are all awesome. So it's unfortunate that we're going through all of this stuff right now, because we want this record to be heard by as many people as possible. And so there are some, unclear things about how it's all going to unwrap, but the response to whatever we've thrown out there has been really good, and I'm excited to have people hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
What I forgot to mention in that last song that we just played was the fact that I'm not singing lead on it. And that was, speaking of good singers that I've sung with, Brian Halverson sang lead on that. And when I wrote the song, I knew that he was going to sound better singing it than I would. Mm-hmm. So it's a fun one for me to listen to because I don't have to listen to my own voice.
Well, it's been so much fun talking with you about this record and diving deep into the music.
And I want to second Joe, who said in the comments that his soul feels a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And mine does too. Like this is the anecdote, you know. And like Brian Halverson actually jumped in, said, "Music is my best antidepressant."
Oh,
amen. Thank you for giving us this gift, you guys. This is what I need right now more than ever. Mm-hmm. It's just you guys and good music. And when was the last time you went over to someone's house and listened to music?
Thanks for hosting these conversations, and you both are very talented folks, so we're to be a part of this.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Do we want to go out with the last song, or what are we thinking?
Let's do it.
Okay. This is Invertebrate from the Honeydogs album Amygdala. Adam, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
And everybody,
stay healthy and sane, everybody. Write your work.
Now is the time to create the art, folks.
That's right. Sure. And if you like what you hear, throw something in Adam's tip jar.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks in advance.
You can't have her. Pygmalion and Golem have risen with surgical precision. Erase the truth with the chisel. You're divine proportions. My invertebrate ways died to be the alpha omega male, tripping over dollar bills looking for a penny. My old friend Sisyphus in the end. We are not alone. Push the stone, it always comes down on our head, on our heads. Your divine proportions. My invertebrate ways
And there you go. I think my favorite part of that, by the way, was watching us all, like you guys were air drumming and watching us sway and get excited by the music. And I wish you could see everyone out there listening, watch their heads as well, their reactions to the
I'd like
music.
to think everybody else was.
Yeah. Glenn Bonham moment in that song. More knack for those filler fill.
He does.
So good.
And for those of you who are listening on Facebook, go get this record. Go to your favorite streaming site if you have to, but they do have a Bandcamp site. You can search for them there where you can get the full resolution files. It sounds really good.
Really good. That's right.
Wow.
Yeah,
Really.
the Honeydogs, Amygdala, and Adam Levy joining us from the band today on the back catalog listening party. This was such a treat. Best part of my week, always spending it with you, Tony, and our guests listening to music. So
Yes, and thanks again, Adam. This was a pleasure.
This is a great thing you guys got going. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, and take care, and hopefully we'll see all of you back next week. If you haven't already, like the back catalog listening party Facebook page, and we'll let you know what's coming up next week. But we'll be back here at 4.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Have a great week.